has seen here yet today.
Correct. We've been working
finished
on an
DayZ?
expansion for Arma 3 for a couple of months. It's finally the time now to show you the major component of it. So let's roll the video. Take a look.
2.5 hours ago. It was before we had the Don't be silly. Yeah. They'll never finish DayZ. So it's an Arma 3 expansion. Tropical Island. To Noah. What is this and why am I hungry? It's the E3 event, Jenkins, and you're hungry because you haven't eaten yet. Cool.
Tanawa, the name of the upcoming terrain piece. I mean, tell me a little bit about what is Tanawa.
Yeah, well, welcome to Tanawa. It's what we call our new theatre of war for Arma 3. It's the first time we've explored a Pacific island setting, and what we've just seen is something like 100 square kilometers of jungly island archipelago terrain. It's sort of the crown jewel of, as Joris said, the expansion.
My wife brings up a good point. We'll take the dog out.
Yeah.
I'm just going to keep everything up, mute my mic, and turn off the cam.
I mean, in all my playing of the Arma games, I've always felt like the terrain is one of the most important characters of the game. And I mean, we already see some architecture that's not really found in the rest of the game.
Yeah, exactly. I think the setting is something really fresh for the Arma series. And our environment lead, Martin, he has described this from the very beginning as a green hell. So it's a bit more raw and more gritty than your typical holiday resort. And I'm really looking forward to making some cool military scenarios in there.
Yeah. And I mean, I also saw that islands seem to be a pretty central component to that. I mean, is this going to change the way that the movement works for the player?
Well, it's certainly something new for the Arma series. I mean, I think like all of the terrains, which have been such a massive part of all of the games that we've made for the last 15 years, the Generous and Altis, and now Tanawa, the core experience is the same. You know, it's a richly detailed, kind of authentic world, but definitely the islands, the archipelago, it's something new. It means exploring the islands a little bit differently. Maybe on the water is a bit more important this time, underwater as well. Yeah, and we're looking forward to putting it in the players' hands and seeing how they explore it.
And we talked about this right before you came on the stage, that you guys are such huge believers in modding. And this seems like a brand new toy for modders to play with.
Exactly. It's a whole new canvas for modders to make all their creations on. Can be anything from authentic military experiences to completely crazy stuff. I'm looking forward to dinosaurs myself, for example.
Well, I mean, I'm also a little bit curious about, we've talked about the terrain extensively, but what are some of the other new features and gameplay that will be coming along with Tanawa?
Well, we definitely know that we make a game as a platform. So we have our own vision of what Arma 3 is, and we also have to think about the modders. So the features that we're bringing along, like we see some of the screen space reflections, we see the water technology, so it's going to look a little bit more beautiful. DX12 is going to be something that will really kick on the performance, which is a really important part of the Arma 3 experience. Like, we want to really nail that down for the expansion. And a few other things aside, like the expansion itself is really a content pack built around Tanawa, but also with weapons and vehicles and local factions competing.
Well, I'm super excited to see the game, and of course, what the modding community is going to do. I mean, DayZ, Take on Mars are just incredible experiences. So, again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for your amazing support of the modding community, guys.
Right.
Bohemia Interactive.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Now, our next guest is working on an absolutely beautiful and unusual indie game called Beyond Eyes. Let's welcome to the stage Sharida Halato. Hey! Welcome!
Hey!
Thrilled to finally get the chance to meet you. Please come join me.
All right.
Now, Sharida, I was wondering if you could
Yes.
tell me a little bit about the core gameplay of Beyond Eyes.
Okay, so it's an exploration game. And it
Right.
literally means that if you don't explore, you don't get to see anything because the whole world is completely white until you start walking around. So because she's blind, she kind of uses her other senses to visualize the world. So if she smells things or if she hears certain sounds, she will just visualize them as she perceives them at that moment. But then because she's kind of sheltered, she doesn't always have the right reference to pull from. So she hears something, and she thinks of something that she knows because it's familiar in a garden, for example, like a fountain.
Yeah.
But then when she comes closer
Yeah.
and smell kind
Tipsy,
of
come here,
starts
baby.
coming in, she realizes
Tipsy, come
this
here.
is not a fountain, it's actually a very nasty sewer drainage. And you kind
girl.
of play with
Yeah.
that.
I mean, the big thing that I always, immediately strikes me when I see the footage is just the beautiful art style. But of course, audio is a really interesting piece to the way that the environment's explored.
Absolutely, yes.
Tell me a little bit about that, audio as a mechanic.
Hey, yo, girl.
Yeah, sure. No, I wanted to make
See the emotes, Jenkins? They're amazing.
level. So with the audio design for the game, we started thinking about sounds that are similar to other sounds, and kind of identify what something can be.
Tipsy, tipsy.
And the same thing, we wanted to make sure that the way it's visualized works
Right.
with that theme as well.
I mean, in terms of the art style, as you're iterating through, you're talking about visual representations different from what it actually is. What was that process like of testing these to make sure that the player wouldn't be confused while exploring these environments?
It's
So originally
very
when I
different,
started
quick save.
making
Very
this game, I
different.
was in college, so we would basically.
Can't say
I
it's
started working on
100%
it with
positive,
friends,
but it's not too
and
bad
we would
either.
have this basket of cupcakes, and say to other people, other classmates of us who were also testing, can you come in? You get a free cupcake. Here's a bunch of sounds, the textures, smells. Can you tell me what you think it is? To kind of get that.
We're gonna get that one, Jenkins.
Baseline of how things
Right.
are perceived by different people based on their experiences. So that was kind of the start of it, and after that it's just a lot of thinking and talking to people and trying, basically iterating on that thing.
And what has really been a big challenge for you as an indie developer working on a first-time title like Beyond Eyes?
Scope. Basically, yes. So Beyond Eyes, I think I was lucky that I never made and released the game before because I've been working on the game for 4 years.
Yeah.
And if I had known from the start that it was going to be this long of a process, I probably would have contained myself a little better, but because I didn't know, I kind of got very overly excited and kept adding things, and it became a lot bigger and more ambitious.
It'll be around
So
next Wednesday.
Getting the scope there
So
was,
a whole nother week,
certainly
quick
a good
save.
lesson for a future project.
Well, I've said this before, and I will continue to say it. I think the art style is absolutely beautiful, and I look forward to the final product. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Sharida.
Good girl.
Now, our next guest game you may have seen if you've been tuning into Twitch lately. Some of the top streamers have been blasting each other to death in it. It's a game called Dirty Bomb. We're going to bring to the stage the CEO of Splash Damage. It's Paul Wedgwood.
You know, for the past 10 years, we've been so fortunate to work on some of the world's biggest intellectual properties, Wolfenstein, Quake, Doom, Batman Arkham Origins, and we've just announced our collaboration with the Coalition on Gears of War. But today is actually a real first for us, because Dirty Bomb is the first shooter in the entire history of Splash Damage that we own, that's actually our game. And that control gives us a completely unique approach to the way that we make it. Just 9 months after starting, more than 2 years ago, we involved the whole community in the game in our private forums, and we've had tens and thousands of messages posted in support of the game, giving us feedback on competition, collaboration, and so on. So we're really pleased to announce this trailer. Head on over to the PC Gamer website for a giveaway of a mercenary called Fragger. You can get your Steam code there today. and view the full version of this trailer as well. Thank you very much.
Some men fight for a higher cause. Honor, justice, freedom. Some call these men heroes. We call them scrubs. Guys, ready the fuck up. We're not soldiers, we're hired guns. And there's only one thing we fight for. Cold, hard cash.
Destroy the primary objective! C4 armed.
See you later. Trick or treat, motherfucker.
Well, this looks fun.
In this world, if you want to clean up, you got to play dirty.
I've seen some people playing Dirty Bomb. That looks like a lot of fun.
Dirty Bomb, ladies and gentlemen. A trailer that always makes me laugh. And now let's take a look at a completely different kind of first-person experience. A game recently announced from the maker of Gone Home. Their upcoming title is called Tacoma. Let's bring to the stage Steve Gaynor from Fulbright. Hey, Steve.
How you doing, man?
Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Now, I know that Tacoma was revealed yesterday. The sort of teaser trailer's been out for a little bit. We're going to take a look at it now, and this is really the first chance that we get to talk about the game. I mean, walk me through what the experience of Tacoma is.
Well, it's a first-person exploration game. You know, like Gone Home, it's about exploring a place and finding out the story of what happened there. But in this case, unlike that game, we're in a near-future kind of high-tech space station setting, where not only are you seeing these kind of digital recordings of things that happen on the station, but you can use the zero-gravity environment to your advantage to propel yourself through the environment and see it from all different angles.
What are the sort of gameplay opportunities that open up when you get that sort of zero-G space?
Well, I think something that is, I guess, in a way limiting about your traditional kind of walking simulator, if you will, is it all effectively takes place on a 2D plane. You know, like you're in this room and you're walking here and you're looking for things, and that can be very interesting. But what we're excited about with Tacoma is you can be here and you can say, I found what's here, but if I could get up there and I could go across the ceiling over there and find out what else there is to discover, you can basically treat this three-dimensional space as a fully three-dimensional playground for exploration.
So it's like parkour light. You can really just go over there if you want to go over
Yeah,
there.
parkour is a lot less dangerous when there's not gravity involved.
True statement. Now, you've talked a little bit about the growing ambition of Tacoma when compared to Gone Home, and that you also want it to be a free-form experience. But how do you make sure that you're not letting a player slip off the rails in an environment like a space station?
I mean, I guess, you know, it all comes down to level design, right? Like, to use the environment to give the player the freedom to explore it on their own, to not say you have to go here, then there, and really like guide the player by the nose and say, here's how you have to play the game, but still let the environment point them to say, well, there might be something here. If you're finished here, this might still be interesting over here, and basically work in collaboration with the player to help them find all the cool stuff in the game without forcing them.
I have no idea what you're
Gone Home
talking
was a
about.
relatively small environment in a house. I mean, how large is the space station in Tacoma?
It's definitely not an expansive city-sized facility, right? It's a small way station between the Earth and the Moon. There's a crew of 6 that live there, year-round, and so it is still kind of an intimate space where these people live their lives, but obviously very, very different from a family's home in the